If everyone would please move towards their seats. It is just a minute after 12 o'clock. I want to call this fifth meeting of the House Standing Committee on Banking and Insurance to order. Madam Secretary, if you could please call the roll.
Representative All.
Here.
Representative Bentley. Here. Representative Bray. Representative Duval.
Here.
Representative Frazier Gordon.
Here.
Representative Gooch. Here. Representative Justice.
Here.
Representative Lewis.
Here.
Representative McPherson.
Here.
Representative Rorix.
Here.
Representative Roberts. Representative Smith. Here. Representative Stevenson. Vice Chair Lockett.
Here.
Vice Chair Pollock. Here. Chairman Meredith.
Here, we do have a quorum or duly constituted to do business. If everyone would please make sure their cell phones are silenced. We'll get started. We're going to call first on the agenda today, Senate Bill 109. Senator McDaniel has got to get to another meeting, so we're going to let him present his bill first. In the meantime, as you're getting set up, Senator McDaniel, Representative All does have a guest he wants to introduce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I have with me today Britton Stafford. He's my legislative intern shadow for the day. Britton is an 8th grader at Maurice Bowling Middle School there in Owen County, member of the academic team. He enjoys playing golf, baseball, and basketball, and also enjoys chess. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Glad to have him with me today.
Good to have you here, young man. Anybody else on the committee have any introductions they need to make? Seeing none, Senator, please identify yourself for the record, and then you may proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your indulgence with the time constraint today. I sincerely appreciate it. My name is Chris McDaniel. I am the state senator for the 23rd Senate District, which is the northern portion of Kenton County. Senate Bill 109 is a very simple piece of legislation. And if you will turn to page 5, there are three basic definitions there: a qualifying private fund advisor, and venture capital fund. And these are all defined in federal statutes as to what those funds and particular designations mean exactly. And the essence of this bill goes back to then page 3 and into 4. Right now, if there are a group of folks who qualify under those existing definitions, in essence as high net worth investors, and they come together to make a fund, this allows exemptions from the way we treat 401k style advisors. So as you can imagine, a 401k style advisor goes out, you have clients who it might be their whole net worth for retirement in a very small amount that's invested over a very long time to help.
Have a motion on the bill from Representative Smith, second from Representative Pollock. I do have a couple of questions. Representative All.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, on page 4 of this bill, under section 9, point number 2, some of the change in the language here: during any period of a 12 consecutive month does not have more than 5 clients other than those specified in paragraph A of this subsection whose principal residence is a place of Kentucky, business in Kentucky or whatnot. If I'm reading this correctly, this is adding more people who are exempt to the reporting requirements that are in place today, and that they could have 5 clients in Kentucky and an unlimited number of clients in all these other states. So you get into a large number of clients these people could theoretically have and not have to register under Kentucky law. Am I reading that correctly?
Sort of. And it's really interesting, and I'm glad you brought this up. The exemption that is there is already in statute for every state in the union except Kentucky. So if you're located outside the borders of Kentucky, you can already do this. But if you reside in the borders of Kentucky, you can't do this. It's a really weird little thing. So the whole reason that this came about was there are some firms, law firms in northern Kentucky, Lexington, Louisville in particular, but I've been told it occurs on the Tennessee border as well, where they were just telling these folks, hey, set your business up in Cincinnati, or set your business up in Indiana, or set your business up in Tennessee, because they provide for those same exemptions there. So it's really a weird little nuance where we allow if your business is in any one of the other 49 states, you can do this with Kentucky-based money. You just can't have your business in Kentucky and do it. So this extends it to Kentucky businesses.
One follow-up.
You got a follow-up, Representative All.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. have you had any conversations with the Department of Financial Institutions and where they are on this piece of this specific part of the legislation?
Yes, absolutely. And so that's why there's actually the Senate committee sub that you see was the DFI concern on that, because they were concerned that in essence we were doing away, the initial bill did away with that outside the state exemption and just allowed it to be an in-state exemption. So what we did is rather than do away with the old exemption, we left it in place and just added it for Kentucky-based businesses as well. Absolutely. And I do thank them for that input.
Other members with questions? Seeing none, we do have a motion and a second on the bill. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All,
I'm going to pass at this time. I'm getting conflicting information about the Department of Financial Institutions and where they are on this bill. So I'm going to have to get more information before I decide where to vote and how I'm going to vote on the floor.
Representative Bentley. Yes. Representative Bray. Representative Duval.
Yes.
Representative Frazier Gordon.
Yes.
Representative Gooch. Yes. Representative Justice. Representative Lewis.
Yes.
Representative Lockett.
Explain my vote, please.
Please explain.
Thank you. I'm going to pass at this time. As a financial advisor, I do have a couple of questions about this, and so before I vote on the House floor, I would just like to get those answered. Thank you.
Representative McPherson.
Yes.
Representative Pollock.
Yes.
Representative Rorks.
Pass.
Representative Roberts.
Pass.
Representative Smith. Yes. Representative Stevenson.
Pass.
Chair Meredith.
Yes. Bill does pass with favorable expression. Same shit on the House floor. Thank you, Senator McDaniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may, just briefly to the representatives that had questions, there's an attorney from Taft who has helped a lot with this and makes these advising. If you wouldn't care to share your contact information, I would gladly make sure that he reached out with specifics. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. This time we'll move over to House Bill 286. Representative Stalker, if you and your guests would come to the table, please introduce yourselves for the record, and then you may move on with your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, for allowing me to be here before you today. My name is Sarah Stalker, and I represent the 34th House District in Jefferson County. I do want to just make a note that Representative Kim Mosier is a primary co-sponsor on this, and her intention is to be with us today if her schedule allows, but she is running from room to room, so she may join us at some point. But I'd also like to introduce Ananicia Williams. I'll let her introduce herself a little bit more.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry. Good afternoon. My name is Ananicia Williams. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Kentucky. I specialize in perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, and I'm also currently a doctoral candidate at the Spalding School of Social Work, and my research is on maternal health disparities.
So we're here today to present House Bill 286. This is a simple bill that seeks to just add pregnancy to the established list of qualifying events for special enrollment.
Motion on the bill.
Motion on the bill from Representative Frazier. I have a second from Representative Roberts. Representative Stalker, you can stop there and we can answer questions, or you may proceed if you wish.
I will leave that to the committee. If people have questions and you'd like me to go ahead and finish, or if there aren't any questions, I'm fine to stop.
Representative Gooch has a question.
Not sure that it's a question. I would hope that we all understand what insurance is. Insurance is a contract where you transfer your risk to someone else, the insurance company, for a premium. That's what you do when you buy insurance. Now, there's some basic tenements in that, is that in order for someone to accept that risk willingly, one is that the outcome cannot be it has to be in doubt. The outcome has to be in doubt. In other words, you can't go out and buy a homeowner's policy when your house is on fire. You can't buy a cancer policy after you've been diagnosed with cancer. to say that the fact that you got pregnant is a qualifying event, and now you can go out and purchase an insurance policy, it just says that there's no question that you've taken away that part of the outcome being in doubt, because you know you're going to have you're pregnant. And I understand that you have qualifying events in large group policies, because there's a thing called law of large numbers, where you if you have an employer that's got 500 employees, the fact that one person new comes on that happens to be pregnant, or maybe even have pre-existing conditions, or they have other types of things, that's okay, because you're insuring enough people. But certainly for individual policies, I don't think we can dabble in something like this and actually change what is the very definition of insurance, which involves the transfer of risk from one party to another one on a contractual, mutual basis. So I just don't think I can support this, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to respond to Representative Gooch, because I understand that perspective and concern, and it certainly isn't the first time that it's been mentioned, but I do want to bring something to this committee's attention, which is the fact that currently right now, as it is, having the birth of a baby is a qualifying life event. So if I was pregnant today and at the end of my day I headed to the hospital and had a child and I was without insurance, that would be a qualifying event for me then to enroll in coverage for myself and for baby. What this bill will allow us to do is saying, actually being pregnant, when you find out that you are pregnant and you're about to expand your family, if you do not have insurance at that time, this would trigger the special enrollment period to say, gosh, it really makes sense for us to make sure that mom and baby can get prenatal health care in advance, instead of rolling the dice and waiting for 9 months and just hoping that there isn't something from a health perspective that comes down the pipeline that is going to not only cost that family, but will also cost the state as well. So I just think that's an important clarifying point in case that was an issue for anybody else. This is just about trying to be proactive instead of reactive. We also know that several studies have found that state dollars that are spent on prenatal care services, they save the states between $2.57 and $3.38 in future medical costs. So this is really about being proactive and making sure that that we have healthy babies and moms, and that we can drive down those mortality rates that we unfortunately are pretty famous for.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you. The sponsor of the bill, I think, did a great job of answering that question, which I wanted to address as well. I'll just add that, some of the other qualifying events are divorce, marriage, as she mentioned, the birth of a child, the death of a policyholder, job change, and even moving. So we have plenty of these other qualifiers. I think this is, to her point, just another way for us to ensure good maternal health care for the women of our state and the families of our state. Thank you.
Representative All.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do other states already include this? Like, I ask this question a lot, specifically in this committee, Mr. Chairman, like the bell curve. Would we be number 3 or would we be number 47? Or do you know, anecdotally, how many other states already include this as a qualifying event?
Yes, we would not be the first. Several other states have already added pregnancy to the list of qualifying events. So that looks like New York, Connecticut, Washington, D.C., New Jersey, Maryland, and Maine. So we could fall right in line with those.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Gooch kind of got my mind wandering when he was talking about, the events. Do you have an impact study on the increase of cost of insurance for, say, a group? If this happens, typically events cause increase.
Mm-hmm.
We know that on what he was mentioning, homeowners. How will this affect, if we pass this bill, will there be a increase in everybody's coverage because we're picking up a new area? Is that there?
So yes, there is a fiscal note attached to this bill. So you probably have a copy of it, but just to highlight to your point, we're looking for the changes that we're talking about today. It is 27 cents to $1.17 increase per member per month for health benefits. So that there is a small increase, but when you look at those numbers, that seems pretty reasonable to ensure that somebody can access prenatal care to keep themselves and baby healthy.
Okay, follow up, just to make sure I understand what we're doing here. You're saying that a person that has no coverage at this time, becomes pregnant, can go receive coverage.
Correct.
Okay, and so they had the opportunity before pregnancy, which they do, to have coverage. So you're saying there's a large pool of women out there that are not preparing for this, or this is the unprepared, or the ones that happen to become pregnant, now they have an option? I mean, can you get into that just a little bit? I know you have
Sure.
a reason for your bill.
Yes.
And it sounds reasonable to me. I'm just trying to figure out kind of what Representative Gooch was alluding to. And can you get a little more in depth on that?
Yes,
part?
I will do my best. And if I'm not hitting on something, please let me know, because I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable and confident with what it is we're doing here today. So as it stands right now, if you are somebody who qualifies for Medicaid, you never need a special enrollment period, right? It's open all year round for you if you qualify financially. For individuals who make too much money to qualify for Medicaid, but they may not make enough money to buy a plan on the open market at full rate, they have the ability to purchase through a qualified health plan and get a little bit of assistance from the state as well. So if I'm an individual and I say, I need health insurance, I've lost my job and I didn't have the opportunity to COBRA, or I couldn't afford to COBRA, I could apply for a qualified health plan, and maybe I'm just going to make up a number here. Say it's $500 a month to cover myself and my child. But the state will look at it and say, yeah, but you don't make enough money to even pay the $500. You make enough to pay $300, so we'll give you a voucher for the $200. So it's a way to supplement it, to make sure that we keep Kentuckians insured so that they can see their doctor on a regular basis, catch all those things that are preventative, so that we can bring down those costs and avoid people going to the emergency room for things for care that they probably should have been maintaining this whole time. But it would apply to everybody outside of even Medicaid as well. Does that answer your question?
Representative Lockett.
So kind of piggybacking off of that just a little bit, of course, all of us here in the room obviously know the purpose of insurance, how insurance works in terms of it's a pool of people that pay into a fund or into a group, and then when someone out of that group needs coverage, it pays. So my question in this case would be, and I think you kind of just answered it, the people that have the option. So in other words, if I'm going out and looking for coverage, I can choose maternity coverage or I can decline maternity coverage. Obviously, if I decline it, it's not going to cover that. Would this bill, if I declined maternity coverage and then my girlfriend or wife or someone gets pregnant, then would I be able to go, oh, hey, I've had this change. I declined the coverage before, but now I need it. Please tell me how that would work.
So that's a good question, and I'm going to have to follow up with you on that, because the honest answer is I think the answer would be yes, but I'm also not aware that you have the ability to waive coverage when it comes to pregnancy. You either have, and now what I can tell you is I spoke to somebody just earlier today who said, I had one job stop, and before my second job began, I went and purchased a short-term plan, right, so that she could stay covered in the event of anything. And what she was told specifically was, just so you know, we will cover you, but we will not cover you if you get pregnant, because it was a short-term plan. So that doesn't really feel good if you're a woman to know. Feels, like you're discriminating against people who could become pregnant. So I'm not sure if that answers your question. I'd be happy to dig into that more, but I don't know that it's an add-on or an option, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Stalker, can you explain that do we already catch these folks once they've had their child, once they've birthed their baby? We catch them at that point. They're allowed to enroll upon the birth of their child. So am I correct in that this bill just allows for us to be able to catch them sooner when they get pregnant to ensure that the health of their child through the point of birth?
Yes, that's correct. But I think it's also fair to say that there's a lot of people who are walking around uninsured, might find themselves pregnant, giving birth, and they may not even know that they now qualify for that. So then you're getting into things like what resources do people have in their community to help walk them through those types of scenarios, so that we can get some wraparound services, make sure that people are educated and informed about what is available to them. But yes, to your question, this would really just allow us to go upstream and catch people sooner to make sure that they're taking care of their health.
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee at this time? We do have a motion and a second on the bill. Seeing no other questions, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All,
Aye.
Representative Bentley, Representative Bray, Representative Duval,
Yes.
Representative Fraser Gordon,
Yes.
Representative Gooch, no. Representative Justice, yes. Representative Lewis,
Yes.
Representative Lockett,
Yes.
Representative McPherson,
Yes.
Representative Pollock,
Yeah.
Representative Rourke,
Yes.
Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Representative Stevenson,
Heck yes.
Chair Meredith.
Yes. House Bill 286 does pass with favorable expression. Same shit on the House floor. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Next bill we will hear on the agenda today is Senate Bill 165. Senator Howell, if you and your guests would come forward, please introduce yourselves for the record, and then you may proceed with your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jason Howell, 1st Senate District, and while we want you to approve this bill, we don't have to have as enthusiastic of a yes vote as Representative Stevenson just gave on that past bill. I have with me Austin Clancy and Bob Whitehouse to talk about this as well. Basically, this bill goes into the consumer lending space to make some adjustments that the various lenders needed to be able to operate more effectively in this space, to be able to service our Kentuckians that need this service and protect them from some of the online lenders and lending sources that operate on their own rules. I can turn it over to Austin to explain more on the bill at this point.
Good afternoon. Chairman Meredith, Vice Chairs Lockett and Pollock, members of the committee. My name is Austin Clancy. I'm the Vice President, Director of Government Relations for OneMain Financial, and I have the privilege of being the President of the Kentucky Financial Services Association. The KFSA is made up of consumer finance companies that specialize in serving Kentucky's household credit needs through traditional installment lending. We are here in support of SB 165 as it promotes the beneficial alignment of interest between borrowers and lenders and expanding credit options for Kentuckians. SB 165 will strengthen Kentucky's regulated non-depository lending market by expanding accessible and affordable consumer credit options for hardworking Kentuckians.
Motion on the bill.
Got a motion on the bill. Here's a motion, Representative Pollock, second from Representative McPherson. I'm sure we'll probably have some questions. Question, Representative All.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had Dustin print me off a list of the other states. This is where it's doing the bands, right? The buckets of money and the percentages.
Correct. In a matter, yes.
Yes. And so we're expanding. We're going from 2 bands basically to 3, and we're increasing the percentage on some of those bands. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the percentage in one of those bands is 36%. And I was looking at, can you speak to where those, are we in line with other states percentage wise, at least on average, with what we are allowing to be charged?
Yes, Representative, that's correct. Roughly between 32 and 36 states have some kind of representation of 36% in their statutory law. The other states that do not have that in there typically either have much lower rates or they have a contract rate where it's basically incumbent upon the individual and the lender to negotiate a rate out. But 36% tracks nationally across California, Virginia, and a handful of other states have recognized that as the appropriate rate.
And this is really for those who need a stopgap, I guess, between traditional loans from a bank or even a credit card type situation and a predatory payday lending, which could be in the 200% range. So it's kind of a middle ground option. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Other questions from members of the committee? Representative Smith.
In our discussion the other day, isn't it fair to say the industry pretty much dictates a lot of these percentages over competition? When you go out after business and you're competing with other finance institutes, really your aggression on going after customers bases a lot of the percentage. These numbers right here are just caps on where we can go, but if you had a pile of money that started piling up, you're going to lower your interest to get it out there on the street and get it in the hands. So it's really competition dictates a lot of your industry, doesn't it?
That's correct. I think typically what you see when you have a more expansive rate that's more inclusive is a more robust competitive market for consumers where they can go and shop for rate depending on what the loan they're looking for.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative All.
Aye.
Representative Bentley. Representative Bray. Representative Duval.
Yes.
Representative Fraser Gordon. Representative Gooch. Representative Justice.
Yes.
Representative Lewis. Representative Lockett.
Yes, and explain my vote, please.
Please proceed.
Simply because Dustin Miller and Matt Niehaus actually agree on a bill, I'm going to vote yes.
It's been a long time coming.
It has been a
Vice
long
Chair
time.
Lockett, long time.
Representative McPherson.
Yes.
Representative Pollock.
Yes.
Representative Rorks.
Yes.
Representative Roberts.
Yes.
Representative Smith. Representative Stevenson.
Yes.
Chair Meredith.
Yes. Senate Bill 165 does pass favorable expression. Same shit on the House floor. What an effort, guys. What an effort, Niehaus and Dustin. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as to Representative Lockett's comment, the fact that it's the Ides of March probably has no historical or literary meaning to this event either.
Thank you.
I was going to say they had a better sponsor this time, Senator, than previous iterations of this. This time I'm going to ask Representative Lockett to take the chair.
We will hear Senate Bill 209. And those of you that will testify in Senate Bill 209, if you could, please head to the table. So please introduce yourselves and proceed with your testimony.
My name is Maria Leitcha Cole. I'm an attorney here in town. I'm representing Pharma today on this bill.
I'm John Cooper. I'm John Cooper. I'm here today representing the Kentucky Medical Association and the Kentucky Bankers Association.
Representative Michael Meredith, representing the 19th House District, and a last-minute substitution.
And I believe there's someone on Zoom as well. Could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Christina Moorhead. I'm a Deputy Vice President at Pharma. We're the trade association for the brand drug companies.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is Senator Carpenter's bill from over in the Senate. He was unable to be with us today and asked that I fill in. Senate Bill 209 includes a simple fix to a good bill that we passed back in the 2021 session. Senate Bill 45 that was sponsored by Senator Alvarado dealt with copay cards, copay coupons that help patients pay for their prescription drugs. This fix is needed due to a ruling from the IRS and how that affects implementation of that bill.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Before we proceed, would you like to continue or go ahead with the vote?
I have a motion on the bill. I'm happy to proceed with a vote.
Sounds perfect. Any questions at all from any of the members? Please call the roll, Madam Secretary.
Representative Vaughn,
Yes.
Representative Bentley, Representative Bray, Representative Duval,
Yes.
Representative Fraser Gordon, Representative Gooch, Representative Justice,
Yes.
Representative Lewis, Representative Lockett,
Yes.
Representative McPherson,
Yes.
Representative Pollock,
Yes.
Representative Rorix,
Yes.
Representative Roberts,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Representative Stevenson,
Yes.
Chair Meredith.
Yes.
Senate Bill 209 does pass with favorable expression, and same should on the House floor. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. You did a good job yesterday, by the way.
Thank you.
We'll take a motion to adjourn. All in favor? We're adjourned.